Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Walking with Jesus through the Passion Week. I'm calling today Silent Wednesday because Jesus and the disciples apparently did not go into Jerusalem on this day, preferring to lay low. While there doesn't appear to be much activity publicly, I want you to know there's a lot going on behind the scenes as two major players get together, the religious leaders and Judas. And today's events focus on contrasting reactions to the unfolding events. In Matthew's account, which is found in chapter 26, verses 1 and 2, we see that Jesus' conversation from yesterday with his disciples had an added element to it. It says, when Jesus had finished saying all these things, he told the disciples, "You know that the Passover takes place after 2 days, and the Son of Man will be handed over and be crucified." This is the 6th time that Jesus has told them that he's going to die. And this time he gets very specific, telling them he will die during this Passover by crucifixion. And once again, nobody heard it. It was unthinkable. They were so close to sealing the deal. I mean, he'd asserted himself publicly as the Messiah. No way, he wasn't going to die. Except for Judas. I think Judas heard it loud and clear. And for the first time, Judas recognized, this isn't going to play out like we thought. He isn't going to challenge Rome. I want out. After all, Judas was a zealot, a political insurrectionist. He hated Rome, and he hitched his wagon to Jesus. I think he actually caught on quicker than the other disciples. Later on, he would link up with the religious leaders who are still fuming mad, ready to kill Jesus right away. The Bible says the chief priests and the elders of the people assembled in the courtyard of the high priest, who happened to be named Caiaphas, and they conspired to arrest Jesus in a treacherous way and kill him. These very intelligent men are so angry, they're not even able to think straight. But Caiaphas is smarter than that. Verse 5 says, "Not during the festival, so there won't be rioting among the people." The only thing putting the brakes on their murderous plan is political expediency. If only they could come up with a plan. Judas was about to be the answer to this plan. Because there's also someone else who caught on quicker than the others. And it's not Judas, not one of the disciples, not a rabbi. It's a woman. Verse 6 says, while Jesus was in Bethany, at the house of Simon the leper, a woman approached him with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume. She poured it on his head as he was reclining at the table. And when the disciples saw it, they were indignant. This is an act of extravagant love and devotion. The perfume was probably worth a year's income for a day laborer. Why this waste? This might have been given to the poor, they said. And that's not just Judas, it's all of them. Why are you bothering this woman? Jesus said. She has done a noble thing for me. You will always have the poor with you, but you do not always have me. By pouring this perfume on my body, she has prepared me for burial. Truly I tell you, wherever this gospel is proclaimed in the whole world, what she's done will also be told in memory of her. So how did she know all this? Well, she listened to Jesus while she sat at his feet. This woman, I believe, was Mary. What was Mary thinking? Well, she's not anointing him as the new king like they wanted him to be. That would have been done by a priest or a prophet. It's most likely that she understood that he was about to die a brutal death. A crucified criminal was denied the customary anointing oils and perfume. This female follower got it before all the others, with the exception of Judas. You see, at that very moment, on Silent Wednesday, Judas had heard enough, and he apparently leaves the others and travels back to Jerusalem and seeks out the religious leaders. Verse 15, "What are you willing to give me if I hand him over to you?" They're thinking, unbelievable! This is the break we've been looking for. So they weighed out 30 pieces of silver for him. And from that time, he started looking for a good opportunity to betray him. And the thing that forged this unlikely partnership was the fact that both parties were looking for some way to get rid of Jesus. Judas because he was disappointed by Jesus. The religious leaders were terrified by Jesus. And so what you have here on Silent Wednesday are two extremes: bitter hatred and extravagant love. One person who says, I want nothing to do with Jesus, and another who says, there is nothing in my life more valuable than Jesus. And all the gospel writers, well, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, all bring this out in their writing. What about John's account? Well, he has it before the triumphal entry. I don't know why, but it still shows the stark contrast between those who truly love Jesus and those who are only using Jesus. And it's interesting. When Christ comes near, even today, people who don't know Him as Lord feel out of control and want to get rid of Him. Yet those who know Him and submit to His authority experience the exact opposite: security and peace. Luke adds another interesting twist to the story in chapter 22 and verse 3. He says, "Then Satan entered Judas." Just because someone appears to follow Christ doesn't necessarily mean they've placed saving faith in Him. And keep in mind, Satan never entered Peter or James or John, even though there were times when each of them revealed weakness of character. Judas was not a passive victim of circumstances. Satan was able to enter Judas because he made himself available. The disciples had no idea the true nature of Judas. I think he was as trusted by them as any of the others. After all, if they had any questions about him, they wouldn't have made him their treasurer. You see, Judas's life is a warning to those who pretend to serve Christ, but whose hearts are far from God. The woman gave her best in faith and love. Judas gave his worst in unbelief and hatred. He solved the problem of how the Jewish leaders could arrest Jesus without causing a riot during the feast. This passage reveals human nature at its worst, but also at its best.